Yeah. Now you talked about Sri Lanka. Let's get Sri Lanka's point of view. It's Rohan Seneviratne is the Deputy General Manager of Ceylon Electricity Board, which is the generation and transmission utility, as well as there's some distribution utility part also, I think. Maybe he'll explain more in that. Let's hear his views.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me for this panel discussion on this very important subject of interconnection of power systems in the regions. I think committee chair has very clearly explained the benefits of interconnection of countries in a region. I think it has happened in many parts of the world, and many countries are benefiting out of these interconnections among the countries. And also the chief engineer from Ministry of Power, I think he said the forum highlighting the framework where we can interconnect these countries' power systems. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, I come from Ceylon Electricity Board, which is the national power utility of the country. I'm an additional general manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board. And our power system is quite small compared with the other countries in the region, except Bhutan, I believe. Well, our company, or rather Ceylon Electricity Board, we do power generation, transmission, and the 80% of the distribution as well. So we have a 6.4 million customers at present, and 100% electrified the country. So we provide 24/7 power supply to our customers. And we manage our affairs reasonably well, so much so that our generation, transmission, and distribution losses together is 9.8%. I was managing a small strategic business unit of 300,000 customers before I was promoted as the additional general manager. I maintained my losses at 4.75. So I think which is a very good number compared with the countries in this particular region. So our power system, the maximum demand is about 600 megawatt now. It's, I think, very, very small compared with India. Our installed capacity is about 4,400 megawatts now. So we do have a reasonably good renewable integration to our grid. In 2019, our renewable integration was 35%. So I think that was a reasonable renewable integration to the grid. We have major hydro, we have mini hydro, we have wind power plants, and we have solar power plants as well. So we have a very good plan to meet the 2030 energy mix, where we are trying our best to have 40% renewable and about 30% from gas, that is from liquid natural gas, and to manage coal only at 28% and 2% from other fuel-based energy resources. So that is our intention. Intention in 2030 is to have 70% of power generated from clean energy sources, taking into account LNG, also a clean energy source. So that is our intention. So accordingly, we have worked out many programs to reach those targets. So when you look at those programs, how much we can absorb the renewables, especially the solar and wind. The solar that we can absorb to the system, when we do really the integration studies, we found that we can absorb only about 1,000 megawatts of solar by 2030, about 800 megawatts of wind. We cannot absorb more than that due to a lot of other restrictions of integration, or else we have to invest a lot of money on the integration itself to have more and more. But with that, we can manage about 40% renewable in the grid. But we do have a lot of wind in the country, especially in the eastern region. We have about 4,000 megawatts of really good wind resources. But we are not in a position to absorb or interconnect all these resources to our grid, our own grid, because the size of the grid is too small. So perhaps when we have this interconnection among countries, if we have an interconnection with India, perhaps we can absorb all what is available, all wind resources to the system, and to share among all the countries so that the renewable portfolio of the SAARC region will be more. So that is a plus point when we really look at the interconnection between Sri Lanka and India. But having said that, I think the things are changing. 2030, when we were listening to the speakers yesterday and day before, India has a lot of plans to go for 450 gigawatts of renewables by 2030, and the energy mix will be changed, and Sri Lanka has plans, maybe some other countries will have plans. Those are ambitious plans and maybe realistic plans as well. So when we look at these interconnections, I think we have to look at the reliabilities, the economic perspective of those things, technical feasibilities, social, environmental, and the political side as well. So perhaps because of this, all these new plans that are envisaged for 2030, we may have to really look at especially the economic feasibilities again, because things can change, because we also have 20-year power purchase agreements with various power plants and various other institutions, and we are going to get liquid natural gas. There again, we are going to invest a lot of money there. So I think perhaps with the intention of having different energy mix by 2030, maybe we can look at the total scenario again to see what would be the real benefits coming out of this interconnection. Because Sri Lanka-India interconnection is expensive. It is perhaps the most expensive. I think about 6-7 years ago, there was a feasibility study done. It is about $700 million cost for the underground HVDC cable between Sri Lanka and India. Maybe now the things may have changed, but that is an expensive interconnection. So I think best is to, there has been a lot of work done, I think, when I referred the literature, because this subject is not directly coming under me, but I referred some literature. And a lot of work has been done during last 10 years. A lot of studies, pre-feasibility studies has been done. I think once again, we can look at a very solid feasibility study, I believe. Even we had the discussion with the Asian Development Bank about 2 weeks ago. So they are very willing to do a full feasibility study on this interconnection, including economic and technical affairs. Perhaps we can do a very good study quickly and to get the outcomes and the ideas from the real ideas, giving due concern to 2030 expectations of both the countries and the other countries. And then I think we can work out a roadmap and to implement it. Because this discussions has been going for more than 10 years, I think, but nothing concrete has happened up to that. And also about the power markets, I don't know whether Sri Lanka will go for power markets in the foreseeable future, because we are a so small entity to go for markets. So perhaps without markets also we can have bilateral, trilateral agreements to sell these power back and forth. I think giving due concern to all these aspects, I think best is to quickly do a feasibility study and to have a roadmap for the real implementation of this Sri Lanka-India interconnection. I think it will definitely create a win-win situation for both the countries. Thank you.